back in 2010 in May, I worked for the paper here, the Rayne Independent, and I got an opportunity to go on a tour with Louisiana Press Association. It was a VP-led tour, and they showed us what they wanted us to see. I went down there the next week and jumped on a fishing boat. Went out into the Gulf ourselves. Suddenly, we could see the oil kind of coming on the horizon, and then next thing you know, it surrounded us, and there wasn't really any way to get out of it. So go very, very slow and try to make it, out of the situation. And then we came upon a pelican that was in the water who was having convulsions, and we pulled it out. And like in that moment, we were thinking, I know what we were thinking. We were thinking like, let's get the pelican to get cleaned up, and we can't control this situation, but we could save this one pelican, but we couldn't because we couldn't go fast enough to get out of the oil to get to where the pelican needed to be. And looking back, he was probably breathing his last at the time we even picked him up. So it was devastating to us to sit there and with this pelican and this little tiny boy, and I just kept looking at him thinking, this is our future. It's so easy for us to throw it away, that we haven't done everything we can to protect ourselves and to survive, and it changed my life forever. I came home and I just remember taking a long, hard look at myself and seeing how I had contributed to all of this, and how I'd been so thoughtless and wasteful and left it to somebody else to pick up the pieces and make a good world. And I realized that I couldn't allow that to happen anymore. I have 6 really beautiful kids, and I didn't want them to grow up in a world where the profit of any corporation was worth more than their life and their livelihood and their air and their water. So we went and were arrested in front of the White House with the first group that was fighting the Keystone XL, which is a really nasty, toxic snake that they're planning on using. They already got the southern leg in, but to cut down the middle of the country, and just really injures indigenous people's health in the tar sands area. So I was glad to be a part of that too. And then the third time was Texas tar sands blockade, where they're putting the southern leg in. It kind of got sold out by the administration. That I think they were kind of trying to do a trade-off, so they fast-tracked that through, and so we had chained myself to a gate, and that was like a kind of a 4-hour standoff or whatnot. We had a few ways to connect, and one of them was Occupy. We connected all across the country with different Occupy groups that gave us sort of a platform. At that time, they were kind of a moving train in the same area that we wanted to go, which was not just clean air and water, but rights for all people to live free and breathe well. And so I met with lots of people from Occupy that were doing good things, and then now the I Don't Know More movement. I am an indigenous woman, and proudly so, and to be able to connect in that way as well. But it seems like all of these movements are kind of pushing towards the same end, wishing for the same thing, and that's just a better, brighter future for everyone. So Frederick Douglass said, I'll work with anyone to do good. I won't work with anyone to do bad.
Consider the danger and think of the crime as it poured out a slick